Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First we have recognition, public participation. The Board of Education will recognize Cindy Carpenter and the Business Office for receiving certificates of achievement for excellence in financial reporting from the Association of School Business Officials International and the Government Finance Officers Association for the comprehensive annual financial report for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2017. The Certificate of Achievement is the highest form of recognition in governmental accounting and financial reporting, and its attainment represents a significant accomplishment by government and its management. The CAFR has been judged by an impartial panel to meet the high standards of the program, including demonstrating a constructive spirit of full disclosure to clearly communicate its financial story and motivate potential user and user groups to read the CAFR. The Certificate of Excellence Award confirms the School Business Office commitment to financial accountability and transparency. Recognition through the COE program can help strengthen a district's presentation for bond issuance statements and can promote a high level of financial reporting. This is the 8th consecutive year that the Dekalb District 428 Business Office has received both prestigious awards.
Thank you, Susan.
Congratulations. Thanks so much.
Next, we have public comment. Members of the public who wish to speak to the board should complete a request card prior to the meeting. This section of the meeting will be reserved for comments from the public. All comments should be limited to 3 minutes. Criticism of individuals is not important. We'll start tonight with Bessie Panopoulos, and she'd like to speak on TIF and contract.
Yeah. Okay. Some of you, the school board and also your staff have already received this email. I'm just going to read a portion of it and then I'm going to give this to your secretary so you can utilize this information as needed. Regarding TIF, this email was addressed to the JRB, that's the Joint Review Board members and elected officials. I'm sending this email to the JRB and to some of the elected officials in my continued attempts to raise the level of awareness regarding TIF. This program referred to as TIF was designed to help cities to improve areas within their community so that the entire community could thrive. A type of everyone chip in to make things better for all. Somehow TIF has managed to morph into some sort of a complicated funneling of tax dollars into endeavors that require much of the monies collected to be expended on administrative costs such as consultants and attorneys. Adding to the confusion is the fact that information about TIF, its history, its impact, specifics about the financials, has not been readily as shared as it should be over the years. Part of the blame is with the city of Dekalb, part of the blame is with the participants of the JRB, and part of the blame is with the elected officials. The city should have been more forthcoming with TIF details, and the JRB and elected officials should have been more aggressive in demanding information and scrutinizing the facts more closely. In short, the community has not been communicating very effectively, and hopefully this will change. Thankfully, the JRB at its last meeting postponed a decision in order to give time to all parties to have a much better and much needed candid discussions to resolve the primary issue of how we should proceed with TIF. The concerns brought forth at the meeting primarily from 428 representatives. The representatives are but some of the concerns expressed by many people throughout the community for years. Those concerns have fallen on deaf ears until recently, as some officials are beginning to understand some changes need to be made and that transparency must be practiced, not just spoken. If there is any progress to be made, it is vital for each of you to do your part to inform your respective staff, your colleagues, and the public of any and all TIF information. It is also important that the sharing of not only TIF information, but a variety of other topics important to the entire community continue to take place. Our community faces many challenges, and the we factor has to be utilized as much as possible if the community is going to be a healthy one. There is not one entity, not KISH, 428, city, county, or township, that can or should proceed on its own. We are intertwined in that what's good or bad for one entity is good or bad for all. Our resources are limited. The state, heaven only knows, has its challenges. The taxpayers are hurting. Our schools, our needs, our businesses are hurting, and the list goes on. As a citizen who just turned 70 and doesn't really care how loud I speak, I can only push to bring forth information, to do my best to inform everyone so as to assure we move forward in a proper direction. No more games, please. Just the facts and the appropriate analysis from every angle so we can build a solid foundation for our future. And there's some bullet points here on the rest of this. I'll give this to this nice lady so she can pass it on to the rest of you. And the next thing, I did not realize that you were going to be bombarded here by the very backbone of your educational system. I did not realize that there was a little bit of contention here. Hopefully there isn't. Hopefully there will be a resolve. I taught for 39 years, and before I start pushing up daisies, I just hope that this country and this state start putting education at the top of the list and does not allow for this kind of thing to happen anymore.
All right.
The frontline people are important.
On residency check.
I am Cassie. The data I'll share comes from the district report card and from the results of a FOIA request I submitted to the district. In terms of demographics, our district is 18% Black, 44% white. 88 students, including resident Tawana Keith, Nancy's daughter, Trina's sister, received letters requiring additional documentation. 41% were Black, and only 35% were white. Only 18% of our students are Black, but 41% of the letter recipients are Black. Thus, it seems that a disproportionate number of students of color received the letters. Superintendent Creedman sent that letter under the advisement of a firm our school board hired. They're worried about Jim Mason's lawsuit. I suggest you worry about the next one. And that you start by letting the residency check go. Then enough. I don't know that you can stop a lawsuit claiming racism, but you can avoid taking the problem.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And she'd like to speak on residency.
Hi, and thank you for letting me speak. I'm going to present you with a copy of my question that I'll be reading, and I'm actually asking for a written response as I am presenting this in form of a question. My email is provided. I will email this to you as soon as I am done, so there's no mistake in you getting this information, but it is to follow up in regards to the Freedom of Information Act that was received. And if you actually look at the totals based on students of color, it is concerning. So I am asking the school board members to provide a written explanation as to how National Investigation Inc. residency checks are not racially motivated when the letters sent targeted a significantly disproportionate percentage of persons of color, total of 63.5%, compared to the actual demographics of the combined population of our district is 34.25%. B, what is the exact figure the school board has paid directly to National Investigation, Inc. and any outstanding balance pending? And C, can the school board members please provide a clear justification as to the cost incurred by National Investigation when nothing in the district's 428 data, the ISBE, and I have graphs demonstrating what our demographics are, the reality, the fact base, and various studies completed within the district do not remotely suggest we have a residency issue. I provided you with my email, and I look forward to your response. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Sean LaPlante, and along with Marilyn Buckner, we are the co-presidents of DCTA, or Dekalb Classroom Teachers Association. We, the DCTA, are here in support of the bargaining efforts of the Dekalb Federation School Assistants. What I'm going to say in my short time here is only the tip of the iceberg of what our assistants do, both for our teachers and our students on a daily basis. I've been in the district for 18 years, working with 4th, 5th, and 8th grade students. And remember when I first started, instructional assistants had the label of classroom aides. And many teachers use aides to help them make copies, grade papers, and to set up the classroom for instruction. But as we fast forward to today, it's vastly different from what they did in the past. Often, assistants are a crucial component delivering instruction to students that have individual education plans or IEPs. In many cases, instructional assistants will do the same duties as teachers, except for the actual planning. However, they may not formally plan the lessons. Assistants meet regularly with cooperating special education teachers or reading teachers to discuss student goals, how much progress they are making toward these goals, and what needs to be done in the future to meet these goals. Instructional assistants are working with students who need the help the most. Who are the DFSA? They are well educated, many with undergraduate and some even with master's degrees. Some are awaiting teaching positions. They are also our security assistants, our health assistants, keeping our children healthy and safe. They are our office assistants, keeping our schools running smoothly, and they're the first contact of our parents have. They are our media assistants, helping our children learn to read and utilize technology. Most of all, our DFSA members love working with children. All the assistants are striving for is a livable wage for all their members. If we wish to retain the highly qualified assistants that we already have and also attract new assistants into the district, attaining a livable wage is a must. I know there have been talks and you're working toward an agreement. Let's make that final push and get this contract done so that educational services that our students need isn't threatened. DCTA stands hand in hand with our union brothers and sisters at DFSA for a livable wage.
For those of you who don't know me, my name is Amy Fontana. I've also been here since 2000 for 18 years. In these 18 years, I've taught at 3 different schools. I've taught 4 different grades. I've worked for 11 different principals. I've encountered every different type of student imaginable. But throughout all that change, one thing has remained constant, and that is the dedicated and hardworking assistants that I have had the honor of working with at every level I've worked at. From our security assistants at Clinton Rosette, who help to keep our children safe, to the literacy assistants who help bring our kids up to grade level at Founders, the special education assistants who work with some of our most challenging learners at Brooks, These men and women and all the other paraprofessionals that I have had the pleasure of working with are an absolutely indispensable part of the educational experience in D428. Their contribution to the health, safety, and education of our students cannot be understood without being experienced firsthand. And I have been lucky enough to do that. And so it saddens me, and I think the majority of us who teach with the DCTA, to see our students being treated with disrespect by our school board during their lingering contract negotiations. They work some of the toughest jobs in our district for some of the lowest pay. These essential members of our school district have asked for reasonable gains in wages for their next contract, wages that will help them climb above the poverty line, that will make their health care slightly more affordable than it has been, and that will make them feel that the district that they work for values them as much as we, their coworkers, do. But sadly, even in the midst of the best financial climate that our district has enjoyed in over a decade, the men and women in the DFSA are once again being told one thing and shown another. They are told they are valued, but shown otherwise in the board's monetary offers. Our district's fund balance is projected to reach $33 million by the end of this school year. That represents a 50% increase in our fund balance in the last 3 years. Cash reserves as a percentage of operating expenses is expected to reach 38%, when even the conservative estimates of the board's own financial planners recommends 15 to 25%. Our board deserves credit for its sound financial planning. But now it's time to realize that an investment in its employees, the heart and soul of any school district, is not a frivolous waste of money, but rather a worthwhile, well-deserved, and fair way to show our community and our kids what we stand for. An educational community in which every student and every employee feels safe, valued, and respected. It's time to end the impasse and pay our assistants what they're asking for and what they deserve. Trust those of us who know it's just a small fraction of what they're really worth.
All right, so most recently, I want to speak to the opening of school. I was able to get over to Lincoln and enjoyed it. It was great. Kudos to our facilities people. They did a fantastic job on the grounds and inside that building. I had gone by it earlier, the last board meeting. In fact, I took a swing by just before the meeting and it looked great. Well, this time I got inside. It looks great. And I was told again and again about how much they appreciate the air conditioning. So it's a good thing that we finally got done. So anyway, that's the one thing to report from that night at Lincoln. Then the other thing I want to mention, and Jamie, you probably maybe you want to say something along with this. Jamie and I both attended the zoning meeting with respect to the rezoning or the potential rezoning or the special use permit. We're right across the street for a video gaming area, and they would also be serving alcohol. Jamie had already written an email in response to them telling us about this coming up, and I sat in and listened. Jamie also spoke during that evening while it was the public hearing. And I want to say, Jamie, I don't know if you want to say anything. I'll say something in addition to.
You can go first.
Okay. So there are a number of people that this actually had been postponed. For you that don't know, this public hearing had been postponed once by the zoning board because they were concerned that perhaps there would be more people involved in the public participation aspect of it. So that was this evening that I'm speaking about that we went to was the second time. And they did vote on it. The zoning board voted to forward the recommendation to the city council to allow for the special permit and video gaming and alcohol serving at that location, which is right across the street, and about 150 feet from property at Founders. So there were a number of points brought up. Jamie's email covered several. I want to bring up 2 points that I'm concerned about that nobody brought up during that public time. And I would like the board to consider this and to come up with whether or not we should pursue it at the council level, because ultimately the zoning board is an advisory body to the city council, and so the city council will pass or not pass that special permit. and allow that facility, that property to be used for the proposed use. So the two things that I want to remind people about are, and perhaps the most serious one, and potential at least, the state law allows for a 100-foot separation between a school or a place of worship and so on with this type of establishment. There are two lots, two individuals that own residential property. Those two lots make 101-foot separation. So they are, according to state statute, in compliance with that statute. However, there was something that came up in Sycamore back in the early spring, I think it was. There was an armored car that visited one of these gaming establishments, and there was a robber of this armored car at that establishment. Some of you may have read it in the newspaper as I did. Fortunately, there appear not to have been any firearms involved, and there were no injuries. No one was hurt. Apparently, a crime was committed, but luckily no one was hurt. When I thought about that in respect to this particular location being so close to Founders, and so close to the Ed Center, and so close to the two child care centers right next door here down the street, if there were any sort of a money transfer or any reason for a criminal to come and think they had easy pickings, and if there were firearms involved, we have children very, very close to this location. And so I'm very concerned as a board member and as a citizen and a parent of former students that this could be a potential problem. That was not discussed at the hearing. It could be discussed at the city council when they hear this issue. So for the board, I wonder whether we would want to pursue that. And for anybody in the audience, whether you might want to pursue that, it's up to individuals. But that's my concern. There may be other issues that I think that go in comparison to that potential problem. But I guess that's all I've said about that. That's all I'm going to say about this for today. Thank you.
I just want to mention, last night was our academic honors night at the high school. And in order to receive the academic honors, you have to have a 3.75 grade point average. So for our first year people, our students, we had 108 receive that honor. So for the first year. Second year, which means you have to have that 3.75 for 2 years, was 63. And for third year, we had 48 students. So it's a total of 219 last night that received that honor for a 3.75 grade point average. And I want to thank Angel Smith. She put together, she's the president of the Academic Boosters, and she put together a really nice night for those kids and their families. It was a nice night. Also want to compliment Peter Golf, our athletic director, on premiere night last Friday. That was another nice night, brought out a lot of people, which is great. I think he made some nice changes to the program, and it went really well. So thank you to Peter for that nice night out, and for the weather for cooperating with us and not raining.
I was responsible for weather.
I'm sure you were. So anybody else have anything? Okay, next we have presentations, and this is Summer Projects 2018, and this is an informational item. Tammy's somewhere. So
Are we counting it then?
Still closing tickets.
All right, I'm going to come in front of the board and present our summer projects, just a glimpse of what was completed over the summer by our custodial grounds maintenance staff, as well as a couple of our large construction projects that took place. A lot of work goes on in the summer that is not seen by a lot of individuals, and it's even hard to take pictures of. But I just wanted to highlight some of those things. Founders Elementary's front parking lot was approved by our board so that we were able to have adequate parking for our staff. That was completed. I heard a lot of comments from the community in regards to how it looks. It looks like it belongs there. It's not. I'm sorry, this keeps advancing on me. All right, A lot of positive comments from the community in regards to how the parking lot turned out. And I've been over at Founders several mornings since school has started to help out with the drop off and pickup. And it appears we have more than enough spaces. There are extra spaces, and the circle is now available for any of our visitors. Lincoln, big project. Lincoln has air conditioning, and it has a new boiler also. It also included a new water heater and a new water softener. So this is a picture of the boiler room, which is a lot more cleaned up. The large Milani boiler is gone, and the small folding units are in there. We also added the new chiller, which we changed around the sidewalk on that side of the building. The chiller is fenced in, so it's safe from our students. In this project, they also received new univents and shelving in the classrooms, which was a nice, really nice addition. We've done it at our other buildings also. It's just kind of a nice perk to getting air conditioning. We also get some additional storage space that looks great. One of the side projects that we did was we put in front of the building request to replace the flooring in our Soul classrooms at Jefferson and also get to Founders. There was carpeting in those classrooms, and one of our projects over the next several years is to start replacing more of our flooring around the district. We started with Soul, and in the Soul classrooms, it was LVT which is installed, which is a luxury vinyl tile it's called. All that means is we don't have to wax it, which is great from a custodial's perspective. And there's the Soul room at Founders. And then the offices and the other rooms received carpet. Yes. We dug out a couple of playgrounds and remulched. Tyler also had some additional drainage put in because we flood that out whenever the river floods. Now we have an opportunity to hopefully get that to direct somewhere else instead of losing all of our mulch when that happens. Lincoln was also dug out and remulched, again, for safety reasons. Our mulch was settling into a lot of dirt. So we did have a nice depth of mulch for safety in the event of a student falling off. We have done a lot of auditorium upgrades at Huntley Middle School as approved by the board. As you may remember, NIU vacated Huntley Middle School auditorium at the end of the school year. They've been renting it for 5 years while their Stevens building was under construction. They have vacated it, but then we were left with many upgrades that needed to be done even before the audit, before NIU moved in. They kind of did their own thing while they were there, and now we needed to fix it so we can have it for use throughout the district, for district groups. So that project is actually going to take to the end of December, so I'll provide pictures at that point. And after December 31st, we'll have it open for the elementaries and middle schools to start using on a regular basis. High school, we were able to get on the turf for a few days. The stadium is rarely closed with all the events that go on between sports and then the band. We did some turf maintenance and some cleaning. I was going to include, but I didn't. There was a picture provided to me of a bag of all the items that were picked up from the turf that included bobby pins and all kinds of metal objects that get dropped out into the turf throughout the year. So this system actually goes through and vacuums all of that up to keep it in our turf safe and maintains it, and it also disinfects it. Just a few of some beautifully waxed floors that we have in our building, thanks to our custodial staff. They don't stay this way very long, so we enjoy them. Our gymnasiums were completely scrubbed and waxed, and again, beautifully done. Most of them, all of our gyms are actually handled by our custodial staff, with the exception of the high school, which that's the only one that contracts out. Classrooms, clean top to bottom, ready, so we were ready for our staff and students to return. And media centers, another large area that was we cleaned top to bottom, and that also at Huntley they renovated it somewhat by moving some shelving to make it more of an open space. So that's one of the. But Rosette got a new dishwasher. Yay! We kept servicing their dishwasher. We got that replaced. That was also installed by one of our maintenance staff, so that we didn't have to pay a separate installation fee on that. So that was finished up. Rosette and Malta received new bathroom partitions because there was an indication that they needed to be replaced in a couple of their bathrooms. And then to wrap it up, besides all the landscaping, the tree trimming and everything, and the moving and everything that we do around the district, we also did a lot of mowing, some more mowing, and more mowing. So with that, I do want to thank the facility operations staff that did all of this hard work and their commitment that they do have this students, the staff, and the facility better.
Question, Dan. doesn't last forever, right? So
It does not last forever. We have had a couple of companies come out. One of them was the company that installed it. Their comments were they could not believe that our turf was 7 years old because of how well it was being maintained. And the projection is we'd like to see it last us another 5 to 8 years.
So you think that's realistic, another 5 to 8?
Based on what I've
you've
said,
seen?
I've talked to with the turf companies that install and maintain the turf. I'm really hopeful that it does. We will continue to do what you saw here, which is to disinfect and groom it on a regular basis and as needed. This year, we actually put in more of the rubber pellets to bring that to the depth that those need to be. We do that as needed as we see spots, but this time the company came in and did it for us. And we'll continue to do that so that we can lengthen the life of this as long as possible.
I have a question. Do we have a budgeted set aside for that? I mean, in other words, lifespan, do we have something where we say this is going to be needing to be done? Or do we just take it out of general fund? What do we do for that kind of a very, I mean, it's a fairly sizable cost.
It will be. It is something that Cindy and I have been discussing and Jamie and I have talked through. We know it's an expenditure, again, since it's still projected out 5+ years. We're really, at that point, I can't say exactly where that will be coming from.
As well as other large expected expenditures.
I know we do, I know we have that set aside to a certain extent and planned in our budget, but I just wondered for such a large, it's gotta be, I won't be speculating, but I imagine.
It's a lot of rubber balls.
Well, thank you so much. That answers it.
Thank you.
And thanks for putting that together.
You bet.
Next, we have the non-business consent agenda. That the Board of Education approve the non-business consent agenda items A through D. Do we have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Discussion? Howard?
In regard to the differentials that are included in the personnel items within this, I'd like to ask Sarah about the several people who are on the list and are substitutes. And they are being paid experience pay, and I'm curious as to how experience accumulates and why it does it that way. Just looking for some place that we can possibly find some potential savings.
Sure, so the differential factors, the pay factors and experience are outlined in the CTA contract. And, the language, to summarize, it identifies that preference shall be given for differentials to BCTA members, however, it's not a requirement. So any person, whether it be regular full-time position within the district or simply a differential, can fill those positions. The experience factors are not based on the regular full-time position as a BCTA member or the SSA member, but rather their experience in that differential capacity, whether it be external or internal to the district.
When we have a DCTA member that is retired, are they permitted to come back in as substitute and then get a differential on top of it?
They can be a differential, but the experience will be tied to their differential, not their year's experience. I don't know if that helps me.
And this is all through the current DCTA contract? Thank you.
Roll call, please.
Fred David,
Yes.
Jeff Albrecht,
Yes.
Terry Millat,
Yes.
Victoria Newport,
Yes.
Howard Salmon,
Yes.
Next, we have business consent agenda. That the Board of Education approve the business consent agenda items A through D. Do we have a
So moved.
Second.
discussion? Roll call, please.
Jeff Albrecht,
Yes.
Terry Millat,
Yes.
Victoria Newport,
Yes.
Howard Salmon,
Yes.
Fred David.
Yes.
Next is business and finance. Request to bid Brooks Elementary chiller replacement. And this is an informational item. Amy?
Just before school started, we were notified through our maintenance department that the chiller at Brooks Elementary went out. The part is a custom part because of the age of the chiller, and based on the cost of that part, the decision was made that it would be more cost effective for us to go out to bid. What we are recommending is that we do go out to bid and requesting for the board's approval to do so. The project is anticipated to be approximately 50 to 70,000 depending on bid range.
Do we have a consensus to bring this back as an action item?
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, Tammy, how many tons is that chiller?
45.
45 tons, is that a reciprocating or rotary?
I'm sorry.
You're not sure, okay.
We can't, we looked into it, we can't go any larger because of the way the piping, that is there. We would have to replace a bunch of piping to go larger.
Yeah, that's not always a good idea, actually. It depends on the load and so on and control. But not yet. I'm almost done. I drove out there and drove around the building. Where is the chiller located? Is the building?
The chiller is located to the west of the building.
It's outside?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so there
this
was
is
a
all-
fenced area. It looked like there was a shed there.
There's an existing pad, which the new chiller that is proposed to go in the existing location, it would include hallway, and we would not be replacing any pumps or piping as Jamie referenced, because that would obviously increase the cost significantly for a larger chiller.
Well, the thing I'm trying to understand is, I mean, I dealt with chillers for 25 years at the lab, and usually a chiller is a fairly easy item to replace. You know, this one's almost 20 years old. But I'm kind of wondering, why can't we get, you know, I really don't have enough information to know, but I mean, is it not an easy thing to replace for some reason? Is it not a plug in, plug out kind of a deal? Jamie, you mentioned we couldn't go bigger because of the piping and so on and so forth, but yeah, I understand that if that's what is needed, but it's been able to handle the load, right? The existing at 45 tons has been able to handle the load?
Correct, and what I'm recommending is that we bid out for another 45-ton unit.
Okay, but I mean, we can't simply get a replacement chiller?
Because we just want to make sure that we get the best price that we can and choose the lowest responsible bidder in this case.
Okay,
That's why we're going out to bid for this,
okay.
is to ensure we are getting the lowest price that would be available. And since the turnaround time to get a chiller, you don't go and pick one off of a shelf typically and just put it in place. We knew we would not have it in place in time for this current season, but we can get it done over the winter months so that it can be put in place and ready for the spring should we experience the warmer temperatures in the spring.
Jim, do you have a question?
She just answered.
Okay.
Just answered my question as far as speed. So this, as I understand it, this is we've got 3 chillers there. One is office, is this correct? I mean, we've got.
We have 2 rooftop units.
2 rooftop.
One is over the main office suite, so that is not affected. There's air conditioning still in the main office suite, which includes the nurses area. And then there's one over the media center in those offices. So that is still served. The rooftop units are working properly. We are not replacing those at this time. We're strictly looking at replacing the chiller, which services the classrooms and the corridors.
Unfortunately. We're hoping for cold, cooler weather.
Amen. Do we have a consensus to bring this back at the next meeting?
Yeah, but can I ask one more question?
No, we get one more.
What's we're asking for consensus to go out, to approve going out for bids on this. What's our dollar amount to allow Tammy and Jamie just to simply do it? What is our, we alluded to this in your first email.
50,000 is the bid limit
That's
on
the
this type of
50K.
pipe. And we're going to exceed that. Yeah, if we thought this was, going to be even a $35,000 project, we still go to bid, see competitive, make sure we go out and get the best competitive.
Yeah. No, I'm fine with that. I'm just, this is an item, I mean, these kinds of pieces of equipment can fail, and this is at the end of its useful life. Yeah, so, I mean, it seems to me it's pretty obvious that the board's going to say, yeah, go and do this, providing that the costs aren't exorbitant for some reason or another, then we want to know why. But I'm wondering, is there a way, or should we have a way to speed this thing through? I mean, this happened and failed at an obviously not very good time. And that's how it always is, it seems, but.
It's interesting. We talked to the Regional Office of Education about speeding this up under health, life, safety, and they said they declined it. They said air conditioning is not a health, life, safety issue. If it had been heat, that is a health, life, safety. So they said nope.
Okay.
It's air conditioning is convenience.
For future operation and possibly to extend the life and longevity of the next unit that you purchase, is it possible that some of the reason that this one failed, besides its life, is that it may not have been cycled for a while and then was suddenly turned on? Too much off time, and then suddenly something turns on and now it's got to be working real hard, may have stressed it or something like that. Can we do something and develop some sort of cycling so that we turn these things on at least once a month and hopefully they last a while?
Actually, we cannot, because once we switch to chilled water, we turn off hot water, heated water that goes through for heating our buildings. So once we flip the switch, as many of you have seen on my emails, once I turn off the heat, I'm sorry, I can't turn it back on. It's one or the other majority of our buildings. So you can't cycle it monthly. We do service them. We do a preventative maintenance, and we also have our contractor actually go through our chiller units before they are turned on for the year. And for this one, it was turned on all summer, and it failed at the 1st of August.
Thank you.
So do we have a consensus then for the staff?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tammy.
Thanks, Dave.
Okay, that, the meeting will be adjourned. All in favor?
Right.